Good evening, everyone. Happy third day of school. Yay, can we get a round of applause for that? Woo! Third day down. All right, we are so excited to be here. Thank you for joining us at our Meet the Superintendent event for our special education families, community, stakeholders. My name is Boyende Onijala, and I'm the Director of Communications and Community Outreach for Baltimore County Public Schools. We do have a packed agenda for you, so we're going to get started this evening. Of course, many of you are here to hear from our new superintendent, Dr. Rogers. Of course, round of applause. She is here. But in addition to Dr. Rogers sharing vision, priority areas, you are also going to hear from the fabulous Allison Myers. Where are you, Allison? And she's going to be sharing about our strategic special education plan. I just want to share a bit about what's going to happen tonight, your participation and engagement. On your table, you'll notice that there are a lot of documents, actually. Please sign in. But we also have the special education strategic roadmap. We have a feedback question card, because with the number of people in this room, I'm betting that we won't get to every single question. We're certainly going to try our best to get to all of your questions. But if we do not get to you, we ask that you go ahead and just write your question down now. Be prepared so that if you are called on, you're ready to share it. But if we don't get to you, our team, we're going to collect all of the cards. We transcribe everything, share that information with the superintendent, with Allison's team, and are going to be sharing out about the themes that we've heard from these community meet and greets. If you didn't know, this is the 10th meeting that we've had in several weeks, so we have been moving fast. And so tonight, after you hear from Dr. Rogers and from Allison, you're going to have an opportunity to work at your table to jot down some ideas, things that we can improve on, things that you believe that we're doing well. We'll walk around with the microphone, and we ask that you select one person to report out on what you've noted on your chart paper. And then after we do the specific reporting out as it relates to the special education plan, we'll have that opportunity for general question and answer. So I am now going to invite our board member, Tiffany LaShawn Frempong, to share some welcoming remarks. I wanted to acknowledge, I believe Delegate Allen is in the room, sir, if you could stand. He left? Okay, well, he was here, so thank you for coming. And so anyone else I missed, of course, our board member is here, and she's going to now share some remarks. Then I'll play a video from the county executive, and then we will welcome our superintendent up to share her remarks, and then Allison. So thank you, Ms. Frempong.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Tiffany LaShawn Frempong, and I proudly serve as a member at large of the Board of Education of Baltimore County Public Schools. So on behalf of the board, I would like to thank you for attending tonight's Meet the Superintendent event here at Overlea High School. The school system has planned several meet and greets to provide members of the BCPS community opportunities to learn more about Dr. Rogers and her leadership priorities, to ask questions, and to share feedback. This is the last of the 10 sessions that she's held, and this focus is on special education. Dr. Rogers assumed the role of superintendent on July 1st, and I know that she's eager to connect with the community and learn about your experiences with BCPS as students, staff, parents, guardians, and caregivers. Members of the board will also attend, or have also attended, these meetings, because we too want to hear from you about what's working well and what needs improvement. So the board believes that Dr. Yarborough has the experience, the passion, and the vision to serve BCPS. She's a thoughtful leader who is prepared to respond to the urgent needs of Team BCPS. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Myriam Rogers.
Before she comes up, we have to hear from our county executive. So give us one moment to play the video, and then we'll welcome. And while I'm doing that, Dr. Sample, thank you for letting us crash your home. Thank you so much for being such a gracious host.
Hey folks, Baltimore County Executive Johnny O here, and I just want to thank you and Dr. Myriam Yarborough for being present tonight as she conducts her town halls and her meet and greets as she prepares to become our new BCPS superintendent. I have to say I'm really excited about the future of the school system and working with her and all of you. As county executive, as a former teacher, and now as the parent of a second grader in our county school system. But I really just want to thank all the faculty and staff members for being here and all you do, the community members, and Dr. Yarbrough for being available and transparent and accessible in this process. I really look forward to all that we're going to do together in partnership in the years ahead. Thanks again for coming out tonight.
Thank you and good evening. And I will say you heard Yarbrough, you heard Rogers. Both are correct. I'm transitioning over to Rogers. That's all. So I will respond to either or. So thank you very much for being here this evening. For those of you who came out last time and came back tonight, I thank you for coming out twice. This meeting with you guys as families with students receiving special education services is very important to me. I want to begin by sharing my core values as a leader, also sharing the priorities for our school system, and then really give you an opportunity to hear from our Executive Director for Special Education in terms of our strategic roadmap. Where are we going for special education? We know that meeting the needs of our special education students is a top priority for us as a system. So you'll hear directly from her about the work that her team is doing and what you can expect. You'll then have an opportunity to reflect on what she shares, give us some feedback, as well as share what's working that you think we need to expand, and then areas of opportunity. Where are there some challenges? While we will not, in the whole group, go into individual concerns, there's an opportunity to do that. We have many members of the team here to speak to you one-on-one, but general concerns so we can understand what your experiences are and make sure that some of the next steps that we've planned are in alignment to meet the needs of our students and families, as well as if there are additional steps that we perhaps have not considered because they haven't surfaced, that you're able to share that in an open and honest way. So again, I appreciate all of you being here. This slide really speaks to my core values and leadership style. Quite simply, students come first. I'm a mom of 4 kids. I think the whole system knows this by now. I have 2 sons, 2 daughters, and they are my why. They are why that I come here, and they are why that I take very seriously this responsibility to take care of each and every single student. My kids range in age from 31 to 14, so I have a wide variety of perspectives about what the expectations are. But in the same way that I expect certain things when I send my kids out to school, 2 are still in high school. I can't believe I don't have any little ones anymore. I know that's what you expect from us, and so we have to deliver on what it is that you expect. And sometimes there might be challenges along the way, but we have to be able to come together to talk about those challenges and problem solve based on what is in the best interest of our student. I also believe in action. So it's one thing to talk about the problem. It's okay to talk about the problem. We have to talk about it in order to address it. But after talking about it, we have to do something about it, and in real time. Our plan this summer was called Fast Forward. I think it's a reasonable expectation that you would have that as the new superintendent of Baltimore County Public Schools, who has been here for 4 years, that we would move through quickly, that we would not be taking a year to get to know the system. And so, in addition to speaking truth, that we are action-oriented. As a result of the feedback that you shared, what steps are we taking to impact students? Because students get one shot at the 23-24 school year, and so that's extremely important to us in every single way. Thank you. Whether we are talking about their IEP goals, developing relationships with people in the school, or their next steps if they are in high school in terms of transition, we know the importance of getting it right. And then just having a standard of excellence, no matter what school you're talking about, what program, what section of Baltimore County, that there's a certain standard that you can expect in terms of how we're going to communicate, how responsive we're going to be, and the level of partnership that you should expect from each and every one of our 20,000 employees. And my last slide is really about the priorities. I have shared the priorities for Baltimore County Public Schools probably since before July 1 as I saw it. These 10 meetings have been an opportunity for me to find out whether or not we were on the right track or whether or not we needed to make some adjustments. Also, I've had the opportunity to meet with all offices in central office, meet with all of our principals to hear feedback, and just a variety of other partners. What they have confirmed, reaffirmed, is that these 4 priorities, they are what's urgent in Baltimore County Public Schools. Number 1 being academic achievement, again, for all students, that we exist to educate students, and so we need to make sure that that is our priority as a school system. But we know that we can't do that unless we tend to the other 3 that are on here, and you can take them in any order. 1, having highly effective staff. No matter what role we're speaking about, everyone has a special role in Team BCPS, and it is very important in terms of how we meet the needs of our students. And so we need to make sure that we recruit highly effective staff, we train them when they're here, and that we retain them, we keep them, that we're competitive in terms of across the state of Maryland, as well as we're retaining them by providing high quality professional development and empowering them to share if there are challenges and concerns. We also talk about safety and climate. We know that for our staff and students, you have to feel safe. You must be in a climate that is empowering and that is positive in order for any high quality teaching and learning to occur. And the last one is infrastructure. That's really about our efficient processes. Everything that we do with almost 112,000 students and 20,000 staff starts with a or several data points. So data integrity is extremely important to us, making sure that all of our systems talk. So on the staff side, information is readily available very quickly, and on the family and student side, that it's all user-friendly and it's interconnected, that we're not waiting for a human to say something to someone else, which results in a delay in services. And so we're very excited that our Board of Education passed a contract that is allowing us to implement an entire brand new system that takes care of an overhaul of all of our technology systems. And so we're excited to make sure that we are efficient and effective in terms of our processes as a system, and we'll be providing several updates in terms of how we're doing with that. This is really it. This is our work across all schools in Baltimore County Public Schools, whether we're talking about elementary through high. This is what we're committed to doing with families for our students. And so, as I said, I am really excited to give you an opportunity to hear about the strategic roadmap. Allison will share with you what steps they took, her team, as well as who was involved in the construction of this plan, for you then to have an opportunity to reflect at your table and share out feedback directly with us, and then at the end, of course, to ask general questions that you may have for me. All right. So, Allison. This time I want to introduce Allison Myers, our Executive Director for Special Education. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello, hi. So I am Allison Myers. I'm excited to be here this evening and have the opportunity with you. I am the Executive Director for the Department of Special Education, and I'm proud to be. We would say that as a principal, I'm the proud principal of, and that's something that I've started to kind of use in my introductions, is that I'm very excited and proud to be the Executive Director for the Department of Special Education. So to talk about kind of the work of where we are, and I want to thank Dr. Rogers so much for the opportunity to be able to present, to have had the opportunity to present before, to those of you who are able to be there. This work's important. We're committed to the work that we're doing as a department. It's so fantastic is the word that we have a superintendent that's committed to this work with us. I don't know how many of you have been in the system a long time, but I don't remember the last time we had a superintendent who asked for a forum to just talk from special education families and community. That goes a long way. So I'm seeing those nodding heads. So I'll thank her for that, but it's great. So that being said, we have really worked as a department and beyond a department to kind of reimagine how we are doing special education, how we're meeting the needs of our students in our system. Over the last several months, we had the opportunity to work with a group on strategic planning. We worked with multiple stakeholders. We realized really quickly that we can't just do this work from within the Department of Special Education. We've had a lot of plans over the years within the Department of Special Education. The difference is that this time we said, you know what, not only we need a plan, but as Dr. Rogers indicated, we need actionable steps. What are we doing differently? How are we going to get there? So we did meet with stakeholders from across the system, outside of the system, really talked with families, talked with parents, caregivers, had conversations with other community organizations around what are those things, what is it that we want for our students, what is it that we're committed to as a system, and how will we get there. So that led us to our updated vision and mission statement. I am going to read those for you. Our vision being that all students receiving special education services are embraced by their school communities and achieve their goals in school and life. And then our mission being that we're working collaboratively to foster the unique strengths of every student receiving special education services. When I say that stakeholder feedback as far as revising and going back to these over time, they were revised several times because we know it's important. It's the core of our work and it's what we're doing. So then really looking at what our belief statements are. And again, I'm going to take an opportunity to read these because I think they're important for you to hear and to hear really truly as a department and as a system what our beliefs are regarding our students receiving special education services. We believe in celebrating the strengths and abilities of all of our students, building and sustaining trusting relationships with students, families, schools, partners, and each other, supporting students in achieving their IEP and personal goals, serving our students, families, and schools with compassion and care, practicing equity, inclusion, and belonging, using evidence-based practices and data-driven decision-making, and being transparent and making continuous improvements. Before we get into the roadmap, I want to take a moment to share. I've been in the system, this is my 20th year actually within Baltimore County, and I'm committed to this system. I started as a special educator at Deep Creek Middle School, then had the opportunity to be the department chair and IEP chair at Deep Creek Middle before I moved on to an assistant principal at Ridgely Middle School, then had the opportunity to work within the Department of Special Education for several years, and then had the amazing opportunity to become principal at White Oak School where I was for 5 years. That's really where my heart is. However, when this opportunity presented itself, I said, you know what? I know my feelings about special education. I know I'm committed, and I'm tired of complaining, right? I want to be able to make a difference and be able to connect with families, connect with staff, connect with leadership, and say, you know what, we can do this work. And that's really where we are. So just a little bit of a tidbit is I just want you to feel that commitment that we know there's a lot of work to be done, but we are committed to being able to do this, and we have a fantastic team to do so, and leadership that's supporting it. So with that. Okay, so this is a roadmap, and I want to be very clear that we have received feedback that this isn't a plan. What is it a plan? We want to see what the actionable steps are. There are steps here, but what are the plans? I want to assure you that we are in the process of implementation planning. So for every one of these priorities that are identified, we are developing implementation plans of how we get there, because that's important, right? We can say all day, these are the things that are important. How are we getting to those? So that is what our team has been working on over the summer and will continue to do. We will continue to engage stakeholders because, as you'll see in some of these, are things that are not, again, things that just the Department of Special Education should be doing. They're things that are system-wide. So just a few here, you'll see that our vision, mission, and belief statements are there. Our results at the top are those ideas. Those are called population level things that this is our goal over the next 10 years. 10 years from now, what is it that we want for our students? We want all children receiving special education services and their families and caregivers to feel accepted, embraced, and supported by their school and community. We've heard loud and clear that depending on what your experiences are, it's not the universal that our families feel engaged by their school communities or feel part of it. They don't feel sometimes that their students are included in activities or invited to things. That's something that we're committed to working through. Students and their families have a range of comprehensive supports and resources for growth and achievement. That's really important. Students receiving special education services meet or exceed educational outcomes to become college, career, and community ready. I want to highlight community in that portion because that was something that we heard really loud and clear from our CCAC, our Special Ed Citizens Advisory Committee, that we want community ready to be included. It may look different for some of our friends and some of our students as far as college and career, and community is also really important. This next one is just committing to special education services continuing to be fully funded to enable our students receiving services to be in their least restrictive environment. I want to take a moment and highlight the word "their," is that LRE, for those of us that are, in the world of special education, or least restrictive environment, is something that is how much our students have access to their general education environment or peers. That is not the same for every student. We have students that receive services in private separate day schools. We have students who receive services fully included with their general education peers. So we are committed that our students need to receive their services in their least restrictive environment, not the. So I just want to take a moment to clarify because we have heard some feedback about that. And then finally, the last one there, that all educators and leaders receive rigorous, comprehensive training and professional development to effectively support students. You heard that loud and clear from our superintendent, that professional learning, wanting to retain teachers, the importance of that. We're committed to our special educators and the importance of what the work that they do and the importance in that. We need to retain teachers, and we can do that with them feeling empowered and having the information they need and the resources and the professional learning to be effective. And our general educators, right? Because who's our first provider for most of our students is our general educator. So that's critical. I am not going to read through all of these for you because you can see them there and they're on your table. But I do just want to highlight a few. One of the things that we've done is we realize that there's a lot here. What we have also done is highlighted what we would then do in year one. What are our focus areas? So we've been able to kind of what's the core of the work for that first year? What are those action things we can do? One of the areas that is largest, that I think I want this to be loud and clear, is the commitment to changing our interaction with families. Communication, supporting with parent engagement, information sessions. We hear that families often are confused by the IEP process. How do we support that? Wanting their voice to be heard, wanting the information. So I'm saying we talk about early wins that are important in a plan like this. So I want you to feel that implementation. Just this evening, we had the opportunity to do my first, which, I wasn't super happy about. My first video called In the Know that will be on the website about introducing myself, but also being able to talk about the work of special education in our system. That's the beginning, but that is not the last. So we're doing podcasts, we're working on videos to really be able to connect with the community, for family members to be able to hear information. We want you to have information at your fingertips so you can make informed decisions and be part of that team process. That is something we're committed to. That is a huge aspect of this plan, is wanting that feedback and engagement from families and for you to have the information that you need. The other thing just highlighting in here, there's a few things that we would highlight is focus on transition services, understanding how important transition services, our students are with us till 21, and for a lot of our students, and then what that looks like. How are we preparing our students for college, career, and community ready? The next slide here, okay, great, performance measures, thank you. So one of the exciting things about this strategic roadmap is not only are we identifying that we know that there are strategies that are concrete that we're moving towards, but we're holding ourselves accountable based on performance measures. So this is based on results-based accountability. You will see performance measures that are the things that we're holding ourselves to. I'll give one example. 100% of department-level staff participate in customer service trainings annually. We had our first back-to-school meeting with our department, and we heard loud and clear that that needs to be something that we're doing differently, that we are service-based. How are we engaging with families around customer service? How are we engaging with schools around customer service? How are we, making sure that we are responsive, that we are able to answer questions, that we're timely with those things. So that was one of the first trainings we did this year. So I was happy to say we have a check on that sheet, right? But you have to be able to feel it, right? So I can say all day we're doing it, but we should feel that difference with regards to our interactions. Again, I'm not going to read these outright to all of you because they're in front of you, have them in front of you, but we are committed to monthly system-wide special education communication to parents, making sure that we are working with special education and general educators to make sure that folks have the resources they need to feel that they're effective in what they're doing, that we're providing the professional learning that's necessary in order to do that. And really overall here is just when we say that we're committed to this work, we're not afraid to put those numbers out there and say what we need to do. Also, we realize that some of these things are baseline. We may say that right now, this is where we are, and we're going to make a growth. We need to see where we are to start, and then say where we want to be able to get to with regards to our services. Okay. And with that, okay.
Thank you. Round of applause for Ms. Myers. Thank you so much. And now you'll see us come around and give each table chart paper for you to have conversations on the questions that are on the screen, and I'll read them out loud. So what does BCPS do well that you would like to see us continue? What are your aspirations and hopes for BCPS Special Education Services? And what are 2 areas of improvement in special education that you would like us to address immediately? Those are the 3 questions. Again, what do we do well that you would like to see us continue? What are your aspirations and hopes for BCPS Special Education Services? And then 2 areas of improvement that you would like to see the system address immediately. And so when you get your chart paper, we ask that you chat as a team. Okay, my folks are looking for the chart paper. It's back there. Yeah, it's behind them. Yeah, it's hiding. And so we're going to give you 10 minutes to have this conversation. You're not going to be able to write down everything. You're not going to be able to get to every thought, but high-level thoughts. And then we're going to come to each table and ask that you select one person to report out. One person to report out. We will hold the microphones. Please do not try and take the microphones from us. That way we can get to everyone and move quickly. All right, so as people are getting to tables, I do want to recognize our Chair of the Board of Education, Janie Lichter, if you could stand so everyone could see you. Welcome, Janie. Christina Pumphrey, member of the Board of Education. And Delegate Michelle Guyton, where are you? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so we have 10 minutes for this conversation. We'll come around for reporting out, and then we'll get to our question and answer portion. Thank you. All right. Okay. Yes.
All right. Good evening. All right. One thing that the group really thought was going well was maintaining training of our special educators. Really doing a good job. The next item I believe was like a want. Yes. Increase support of student support across all settings, not just necessarily in the classroom, but as they navigate the schools and other areas like that. And if something to focus on now. It was training of general ed instructors to meet the needs of students in their classrooms. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I hear some agreement and some heads nodding. Thank you. Charlie, over to you.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. Okay, hi everyone. So I'm a new parent to the system here. We're from another country. We're bilingual. And so the one thing I can say I was absolutely pleased with is his school's diversity and acceptance of multi-language learners. I was very concerned with English not really being his first language, how that was going to go. And so he is getting speech, I got this. He's getting speech assistance because of that. And I did not know what to expect. So I was pleasantly surprised that we were welcomed in, and they saw that as an asset, and he was not alone with that, and it was well received and supported. So pleased with that. Let's keep that going, because the diversity we see in this county is definitely paramount, and we enjoy it a lot here so far.
All right, we're over here. Can you all hear us? It was a little hard to hear on that side. Can you hear me? If you can hear me? Yes? Okay. All right, over here. And if you could just project it so they can hear you. Use your loudest voice.
Hello, everyone. My name is David. I'm the father of a 5-year-old autistic child. On our table here, our main discussion was about the school bus. Our concessions is that the drivers are really kind, and the assistant in the driver are also very kind to the children. But the main problem with the buses is that they are always late, or it's usually almost impossible to keep the time on them. And with special, kids, being on time means a lot for them. So waiting on the street for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the bus doesn't show up, then go back in the house, then come back out. It's usually really, really difficult. So our suggestion here was if there is a way BCPS can have some kind of technology that we can be able to monitor the bus, like a GPS or something like that.
We do.
Thank you.
We'll share.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Only doing one? Doing all of them or just one? Good afternoon or evening, everybody. My name is Shafiq Hinton. We're representing the PTSA here at Overlea High School. So welcome to our school. So one thing that we really want to talk about was hoping that we can address the resources that we have throughout the county for special education. We noticed that at some schools there are quarterly IEP meetings that we thought was really positive for the parents to engage and really figure out where their students are. We also like the fact that the students have been infused into the classroom with other kids as well, and we just want to, of course, see more updates to the facilities. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi. A positive that we had is just some absolutely fabulous educators in Baltimore County Public Schools. It's hard to kind of narrow all of these categories down, but aspiration and hopes. My son has dyslexia. I talk to a lot of families who have students who have dyslexia, and we thought a great idea would be to create a magnet school to get all the kids together that need the same sort of intervention all in the same classroom, which would be potentially the least restrictive environment for them. And then areas of improvement, we had diagnosing students at a younger age and then also improving transitions from school to school.
Thank you.
Okay, but I do need my graphic organizer. We had mostly educators, but also a parent, and we want to make sure that the parent's voice is included when I'm in a team. I always say that the student who is in the team is the most important person who's in the team, and the family is the second most important voice in the team, and then the rest of us come later. Special education students are everyone's students and need the appropriate the staff need the appropriate training and supports to meet this vision. Along these lines, we have some really phenomenal specialized staff with incredible specialized specific skills, but some of them are being used in more general ways. So it's important that when specialized staff exist, that they be used in a way that they can really shine, and also that we continue to hire those individuals as part of our actual permanent staff and not rely on contract worker. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. In our group, we talked about one of the things to continue is just the increase of inclusive opportunities with students. But with that also came an immediate improvement idea, which was really working with the students in the general education setting to have them be prepared, have their families be prepared to understand who our students are that are coming into their inclusive classrooms.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our table came up with a few ideas. We said we have engaging, dedicated staff here in Baltimore County. We need more consistent training for all staff, especially support staff. And then really working on a little bit of transparency with the IEP process, especially the rights and responsibilities and meeting the child's needs first before budget and staffing constraints. Final piece, programs created based on documented needs of students and staff instead of fitting the child to what is available.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gigi Cartwright. I'm one of the assistant principals here at the O. One of the things that our group believes that we're doing well in special ed at Baltimore County Public Schools is collaborating in schools to meet student needs. Another thing that we're concerned about at our level is improving services to twice exceptional students by providing PD and support. And one of our aspirations is to increase school-based staffing to more effectively implement the unique needs of IEP students.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Dominique. My son is a student here at Overlea. He is not special needs. However, I missed the other 10 meetings, so I'm here to support everyone else that's here. The number one reason that we say they do well is the use of technology. I myself, I do love the fact that we can navigate through our kids' classes, look at their grades. They can't say they didn't have homework. We see it. You do it. I enjoy that part. Number two was the aspirations. We want more inclusiveness for students with varying needs, such as student-on-student activities. I know in the elementary level, we just talked about it, they don't have it as much, so we are looking forward to that. Number three, we want to work on the communication at the school level, employee level, communications with parents, compassion with parents and students, not treat them as if they're numbers, but treat them as if they're human beings that are trying to be successful. So.
I don't know if Javine is still here. Javine, did you want to share out from this table? Yeah.
Thank you. I work with a family that is new to Baltimore County Public Schools. They just enrolled, and they are our new neighbors. And they said they like our community, and the environment in the schools are really good, so they are happy to be here with us. They would like to see that the communication is a little faster. They said, I called requesting a service. And if they don't know, if they are still working on it, that's cool. But can you tell me, well, you know, can you give us a moment? We're going to follow up with you. And also, as new families, they would like to have more explanations on how the transportation for students who have special needs work. So just understand how transportation falls into the IEP and other needs.
Thank you, Javine. Did we get to all of the tables on this side? Charlie, we're done? Okay, and I think we got to everyone here. Okay, great. Thank you all. So now we're going to have our general question and answer portion. Just raise your hand. Charlie and I are going to work the room, and we'll get to you as quickly as possible. Please keep your question to about 30 seconds so we can get to as many questions as possible. Oh, go ahead. Okay. I saw him first. Then we'll come. Okay. Please stand. I'll hold it.
Yes, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Abdul. I'm a doctor of education. I have a special need daughter. And I hope that the new superintendent and also the new director of the special need will just look at or study the reality of the public schools. There's a difference between the staff and the teachers, whom we really appreciate. They are very kind. Everyone has a beautiful smile on their face, and we love them and respect them. The reality is, as a parent, as a person who is in education, I think that the system is pushing us, the parents, to give up. I had hopes for my daughter, but now what the school and the system is pushing us is that we just hope that she goes and enjoys her presence in the school only. Is there in the school system, is there a way that the system will help her to shine? She's a special need, right? But she has other things that she can do. She's a very amazing person. The school is not ready as a system. We're not talking about the teachers. They are very kind, very amazing. But the system is not ready to help special needs children. Is there a way that you can just revisit the schools and see what is missing? We're talking a lot about what we have. Did you do like a study of what schools are missing in the system? And then we can work together. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. What I hear from you, you're talking about high expectations. You're talking about making sure that we have the infrastructure across Team BCPS, that no matter who the student is, making sure that we're coming from the position of strengths-based, that we're not focusing on the deficit. based on what you shared, and I appreciate you sharing that, it seems like, the goals are moving from away from academic to more experiential, and you're looking for a way for us to take a look at not only just enjoying the experience in school, but, is it life skills? Are there other assets that we need to make sure that we're taking responsibility for teaching the students. Now, I know that we have very specific programs focused on functional life skills. I'm going to give Allison a chance to come and share that. But we have a variety of staff members here who are going to take your information so we can follow up individually. But I receive your message in terms of system-wide, making sure that that message is something that permeates throughout our schools in terms of how we look at students receiving special education services, and appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you so much. The one aspect that I would add is that one of the things you hear us really talk about is that commitment to inclusion and commitment to inclusivity. And we did have conversations with families, and what you are sharing are things that we have heard, is that looking for the opportunity for our students, regardless of need, regardless of what their ability is, to be able to have access to their peers, have access to the same activities. One of the, we have as a goal is access to extracurricular activities for all of our students. We put that on purpose because we realize that that's a barrier we heard from families and students that was a barrier. So just, to kind of piggyback on what Dr. Rogers is saying is that we are committed to it. We do hear you. I would love to be able to have a more direct conversation about the challenges you're currently feeling so that we can help to get in front of them. But inclusion, that inclusivity is something that we are really committed to, and we know you're part of that. Thanks.
Good evening. Nice to see you again. I was there in June at the Dundalk Solar, so I feel like a groupie right now, so I'm following y'all around. Thank you. My son, he's 7 years old, and I had a comment and a question. My first comment is that I work closely with the teachers at his school. There is a common, I guess fear is not a good word to use, but I'll say it, to advocate for a lot of their students who are special need, and they are afraid of, going against their administration. So I'd like to understand, what, feelings and thoughts you had about that. And my second, my question is, what is the status of virtual services, like for some families who may get speech services for their child virtually? Is that still something that's going to be ongoing, or?
So thank you for those questions. I'm going to allow Allison to speak to the status of virtual services. But in terms of your overall question, what are my feelings and thoughts? First and foremost, as a former principal, no one should be in fear of anything coming to work as a staff member. So that is something that gives me pause. In terms of that, how teachers feel in terms of advocating for their students, teachers are the #1 advocates for the students, should be empowered to be the #1 advocates. They see students throughout the day in and day out. They're best positioned to share whether or not students are showing growth, where are their areas of challenges, and it should really be in partnership with members of the leadership team. So whether it's the assistant principal, it's, the staff development teacher, the reading specialist, whether it is the principal directly when we're talking about elementary school, because their team is not as large in terms of a leadership team where you would see on the secondary. That's 100% the teacher's role. In many instances, sometimes, parents will tell us historically, that they have they suspect that students might be differently able. They want to make sure, and that's how the process, is initiated. But there are many times that teachers are able to share based on their day in and day out observations and interactions with the students, that perhaps, there might be a need that they're collaborating with the family. And so my expectation would be that teachers are absolutely empowered to advocate for students, that they work in partnership with families, and that we're providing the resources that are needed. Now, specifically to where we are on virtual related services where there is a shortage, not only in Baltimore County, but nationwide, and we are so excited. I just met, there's a little team of related service providers sitting right over there that I thank them, and another one right here that I thank so much because there is such a shortage in the amount of work that they do. I know we're dedicated and committed to making sure that students receive the services that they need, which means we might have to be a little more creative in how we deliver those related services. But to talk about our creativity, Allison.
Sure. I think that was a fantastic answer also. So we are excited to share that in every one of our schools this year, we have coverage for our related services and for speech. So we acknowledge that last year we did have schools that didn't have a speech provider that we were having to figure out. So this year we know that I'm looking at Maren and she's nodding yes, that every one of our schools does have coverage. Virtual services are part of our continuum of related services. I do want to share that, virtual services for speech were actually a thing even before COVID. They were a thing that were used, and as a method that is an effective method for some students. The important thing to know is that needs to be part of the discussion and conversation. If it is not, if the data is showing that your a child is not making progress with regards to the service delivery, then we need to have that conversation about how we are meeting those needs. The other thing I want to highlight is that we use what is called a related service facilitator. I think I'm using that word right. Yes, thank you. The facilitator to be able to support students being able to access those services if they are being delivered virtually. And that's critical, right? So sometimes we have that kind of idea that I have a speech pathologist, for example, sitting across the screen and my child sitting here and interacting. How are they knowing what's happening, right? Like that's the picture I had in my head. But really, we also have the facilitator as an added component who's helping to just do that, facilitate the services. So the licensed provider may be on the screen and giving the direction, the lesson, the activity, and then that facilitator is helping. That allows us to use manipulatives. That allows us to have other opportunities for engagement around that service. So we can assure you that all of our schools are covered, but that virtual is going to continue to be, and as it is a critical shortage across the United States, it would have to be, and I think it's an okay option based on what we've seen as far as providing those services to our students.
Thank you. We have a question here.
Hi. I wanted to ask a question about dyslexia. I was actually at the last meeting, and I had asked a question about not delaying identifying disabilities so that there's early intervention. And I remember Ms. Myers had, responded with student support services in a 504 plan is one of the things that you guys really want to focus on. That answer really stuck with me because that doesn't actually evaluate or identify a learning disability. And for students with dyslexia, by the time you get to that point, there's so much evidence there that there's a disability. And then looking at recent reading scores just across all of Baltimore County Public Schools, over half the children are behind in reading. So how is Baltimore County evaluating which of these students actually have a disability and should qualify for an IEP according to child find laws? And how are, special educators, teachers, IEP facilitators able to understand who has a disability and then who might just be behind and just need some minor accommodations?
Thank you.
So that's a complex question, which I appreciate. So there's several layers to it. So I want to start with just clarification around the importance of that, the process around developing a 504, the student support team process. That is a component that is important to identification for special education. However, that process also needs to be individualized to the student, right? So we acknowledge that there are students that early intervention is good for all students, but early intervention, especially with specific identified disabilities, is something that is critical and something that we need to be able to lean into. We acknowledge that dyslexia is one of those areas that we need to make sure that we're meeting student needs. We do use universal screeners as part of that to ensure that we're paying attention to and identifying where those needs might be and how we can lean into it. We are excited about the reading curriculum that is now in place in order to be able to support all of our students to identify that, we realize that there's an area of growth for, I'm staying in my lane, an area of growth for our system with regards to reading supports and EL across, well, there's a lot of areas of need around academics, but that is one. So we can talk more, I think, you know, on off as far as more specifics to your concerns, but I do want to assure everyone that, you know, there is a process to that. And it's important for us also in the identification is that we as a system have over-identified some students disproportionately. Our Black and African American students are disproportionately identified as intellectual disability. So there is importance in that process and the SST process for that purpose, but at the same time, acknowledging that there are students that we need to lean into in order to get the early intervention, which is exactly what you're talking about, in order to have better outcomes for long term. No, absolutely not. Nope. So, and we would say that if a family requests an IEP team, we are obligated to hold an IEP team. So that is something, there's parent information, right? Is that if you as a family and you know your child and you say, I'm requesting an IEP team would be held. If you are feeling differently or if you're hearing that, you know, a school, you want more information regarding clarity around that, please call our office. We can help with that. And if that is a misconception, we'll continue to, you know, make sure that with our compliance team, making sure that chairs know, we speak to administrators regularly about this, but absolutely, you do not have to go through that process, but that is also part of the process for a lot of students. But it is important that once, if a family member feels that IEP team is requested, then we do that, and then evaluations as necessary. Thank you for the question.
And we have a question here.
Hi, so I have a comment and a question. The comment is I did go through the IEP process with both of my twice exceptional learners, and I had the services, how I was responded to, everything that I needed was met. I'm super happy. I was so happy I removed them from private school and brought them back to the public school system because my younger son was not getting, I was having to drive to the public school to get him what he needs, so he might as well be there, right? And first week of school has started and I have more information. I'm seeing pictures of my son sitting down doing his work. I'm excited. Okay, the second part. Who in this room, I would like your team, someone help me with my older child. He is a twice exceptional learner, extremely brilliant. And he researched the magnet school, which is in walking distance from our home. I filled out the special requests. He meets every criteria and we were denied entrance. He is now refusing to go to school. This is a child who is looking to skip grades. He reads books for fun. I need him in that magnet school. I've done everything that I can and I'm being denied entrance, so help, please.
So thank you for sharing your, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I am going to ask a staff member, I just made eye contact, that he'll connect with you right away to be able to have that conversation, okay? And also, I do just want to say that I appreciate that, and you know, as families are having things that are very personal, please share it on the cards. I also, the last time, and I neglected to say this earlier, is that because this is broadcast, we want to be really cautious about personal identifying information for our students and families. So thank you so much. We'll have a staff member just touch base with you right now. So thank you for sharing that. And I love your positive message to start, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question concerning looking at grades and looking at actual data, because what I'm seeing for a lot of my clients is the grades don't match with what the data is saying on the IEP progress report. So how are we supposed to have a conversation about that in an IEP meeting?
So I would respond and say, in terms of how should you have a conversation about that, you're always empowered at, good to see you again, Ms. Seroff, as advocate for the parent, along with the parent, to bring your data to the table. You're shaking your head no, but I am sharing today that I encourage you and any other family member that if you have a question regarding a discrepancy between the work that's coming home and the grades that are showing up on the report card, that I would encourage you to go to the team meeting with the data to have a conversation, to find out how the grades have been determined, whether or not there are certain accommodations that account for that, or there are questions that you need answered. What I think is critically important is that everyone understands that as of the 23-24 school year, you have an opportunity to reset. We have reset with all of our schools, with all of our principals, all members of the Office of Special Education. Allison is 100% committed to making sure that we meet the needs of our students receiving special education services. And so while I know it might be very difficult for some who have had previous experiences, I am encouraging you, strongly encouraging you, with this new year to try again. And if you run into an area where you have a difficulty, that's when I need you to reach out to the Office of Special Education. Bring them in. The first step is to work with the school. You know, as a former principal, I would be remiss if I didn't say that the first step, the best step, is to work with the school, whether it's the classroom teacher, it's the assistant principal, or the principal or the IEP chair. If you have tried, in earnest, you've tried to collaborate and problem solve, and it's not working, the next step is to contact the Office of Special Education. That's why we're here, to support the students in school. And so I appreciate your question, and I would ask you to consider 23-24, we're 3 days in. Here is an opportunity that if a situation arises again where you see a discrepancy between the grades and the graded work that a student is bringing home, to bring the work samples to the table, to have a conversation. And I would also say to let the school team know, the IEP chair know, that this is part of the agenda so they can have the actual teacher at the table present, so it's not scheduled during a time where the teacher is actually in class teaching, so that there can be some productive conversations.
Hi. I'm a special educator for middle school, and one of the
Thank you.
one of the questions kind of got a thought started in my head, and I guess the question boils down to how do we combat the interest of building administrators? Because the building administrators, their main interest is to make sure the whole school is taken care of, and that can a lot of the times come into conflict with making sure our students with special needs are getting their needs met. For example, what I'm thinking of is the issue of coverage. Like we have to constantly fight for time for our case management, like guaranteed time, because they need the coverage to make sure people are in the building or in the classrooms with the students. Also ties into those specialized personnel we were talking about. Yes, they're supposed to be working with a specialized group of students, but a lot of times building administrators, for the sake of the school as a whole, need to have them do additional duties. Like I'm thinking specifically like an social emotional teacher that's supposed to be working with a specific group of students often will be pulled to put out other fires for other students in the building. So it's just what check can be put in place to make sure that there's someone to advocate for our students. Yes, teachers do, but there's that power imbalance. So what do we have in place to kind of combat that structural issue?
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I would say to you that as special educators, it's only day 3, and I know last week you were very busy preparing for the students. If you haven't had an opportunity, take a look at the updated MOU, and there's a whole section on special education teachers where there is that protected time, because we know that you need that time to focus on the needs of our students. There's language in there about coverage. There's language in there about resources and supports. When you look at I think we have maybe 6 or 7 professional development, system-wide professional development days across the year. You're going to see that dedicated 3 hours for special education teachers so that you can take care of case management and planning on those days has already been agreed to. And so based on your feedback, based on your experiences, we've put some things in place this summer to try to address that, working very closely with Cindy Sexton as your representative, also, making sure that they're that we are addressing the working conditions, because we know that if you are really pulled away to help with coverage and things like that, you're not going to be able to effectively meet the need of all of your students receiving special education services. And as I've shared with the principals and all of leadership, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, in terms of what are our urgent priorities when we're looking at academic achievement, literacy, mathematics, special education, and ESOL. And so you have been prioritized, and I will also say that as a former principal, we did the schedule, special education first, followed by ESOL, and then everybody else fit in. And so we have an opportunity, we have time, we have a whole year to prepare, and provide that rich, high-quality professional learning for us to perhaps shift our practices in terms of how we meet the needs. I think we've done a lot of good work in terms of climate and filling in gaps. We've opened school for the first time in several years, almost fully staffed. We have 170-something vacancies. We opened school last year with 380-something vacancies. So you can see the impact that that had on pulling you for coverage. Looking at school-by-school vacancies is something that I do daily. I won't tell you how many times. And I will tell you, for the vast majority of schools, we have a large portion that are fully staffed, but then you're looking at 1 or 2 vacancies where we're looking at people who have positions that are not identified teachers of record, so we can have them fill the gap. And so we're really being intentional in terms of how we set up teachers for success. So professional development is part of it, but also protecting that time for special education teachers is something that has come out, something that we're committed to, as well as how we are supporting our paraprofessionals that are in the classroom.
Thank you. Dr. Rogers, our final question of the evening. Yes. All right.
Yes. Yeah, 2 questions. I won't touch the mic. We didn't coordinate, but the question I had was, where do you stand? Speaking of shortages, et cetera, lots been made of that nationally and, of course, in Maryland. Where do you stand on IEP coordinators per school? And then more of a curriculum question regarding special needs. Do you have a writing program? We talked about a reading program, but do you have a writing program in place for children with learning differences?
Thank you for both of those questions. In terms of where I stand on IEP coordinators, that would be what I want to do for all schools. So secondary, we have the IEP chairs in middle schools and high schools. This summer, we wanted to go back to having IEP facilitators at the elementary school level across every school, but we did not want to do that at the detriment of pulling special educators who provide direct accommodations to students. And so where we landed creatively was to provide for a contractual position for our elementary schools that don't have either a full-time or a part-time IEP facilitator attached, where there are a certain number, there's an account string, a certain number of hours that allows for every principal to hire a IEP team lead. I knew we called it something slightly different. And so we're 100% committed to that. I am hopeful that a day will come where we're able to do that FTEs across after we first fill the classroom special educator positions. That is a priority for me. The person that is directly delivering services to students, I can't, in good conscience, do something that's going to, in the long run, impact students negatively. But I am hopeful that one day we'll be at that place where we don't have to have, contractual to fill for elementary schools, because as you know, that's also a hardship on the assistant principals at the elementary level, and we really want them focused on instruction. To your second question, in terms of the writing program, we definitely have a writing component that we're using, but specifically to students receiving special education services, I'm going to pass it over to Allison.
So thanks. Yeah, so basically that would be something that's individualized to the student. So we're not saying that there's a universal writing intervention program that we're using, but that's something the team would look at specifically, identify through assessment measures what are the needs, and then we would address it as such.
All right. Thank you all so much for your questions. I know Dr. Rogers is going to reflect on some of the themes that she's heard this evening, share some remarks with you all, and then we'll let you go home because the school year has started, so people need to get home, get some rest for the next day.
Yes, absolutely. Again, I really appreciate everyone being here. The two big themes that I heard are around inclusivity as well as professional development. You know, something that you said, which I really appreciate, is something that several of you said, because it's in directly alignment with what we shared with our school principals during our A&S, was around providing training for all general educators to meet the needs of our students receiving special education services. That is not a feat that is so overwhelming that we can't take it on. It's something that we've already started having conversations about. We also have some brilliant educators and staff development teachers and even consulting teachers who teach brand new special educators how to meet the needs of students. So we have the people that we need to create that infrastructure. We also have a way to get information out. Those system-wide professional development days that I shared with you, those are our built-in opportunities to get high-quality professional learning to our teachers. And so I would say to you, part of the communication that you can expect to receive in the short term is around how we are building the capacity of our teachers as well as our paraeducators to meet the needs, deliver accommodations to our students receiving special education services. And so I appreciate that feedback. And around inclusivity, you know, I started talking about the 4 priorities, and one of the priorities was around safety and climate. Part of climate is making sure that everyone feels welcome, everyone feels included. And so what I've heard from you this evening is there's still some work to do around that area. As a former building leader, high school and middle school, who has had every special education program that you can think of in my building and loved our students, included, a part. And, you know, one parent spoke, I think this young lady spoke over here, about sharing information with our students to equip them, to really be inclusive and welcoming, and understand that, you know, some students are differently abled, and that's okay. Everyone has their own talents. So I hear you loud and clear that that's some of our work to do. And so you can, stay tuned. This is not a one and done in terms of our opportunity to interact, your opportunity to provide feedback. I really appreciate you making the choice to engage with us this evening, sharing your true experiences. And, it's only through several experiences like this that we're going to be able to move forward. So you can look to hear specific communication from us across the system. Again, I encourage you, fresh start for everyone. Take a new approach. Try with the classroom teacher and building level team first. If you need to reach out to the Office of Special Education. We are here. You can expect a response within 24 to 48 hours. Our goal is to partner with you so we can meet the needs of all of our students, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.